In 2 weeks, if you can believe it, we will celebrate Purim. This is a holiday that most of us thoroughly enjoy, but I would argue also underestimate. It is not just silly, and it's not just fun. In fact, someone shared with me this week that Purim is their favorite and most meaningful holiday in the whole year, and that it actually brought them back to Jewish life, the meaning that they found in Purim. So I invite us, as we're preparing for Purim, to really dig deep and to be intentional, because this is a complicated and important day that we really need. So I want us to go over some what do we do for Purim, some why, and then some how it is especially important and meaningful this year. But first, what do we do on Purim? We do fun and celebration. We dress up in ridiculous costumes and we perform funny skits. It's time, if you will be dressing up, it's time to start ordering on Amazon or sewing the sequins or pulling out of the closet whatever you wore in years past and figuring out how to put it together. Practicing parts for our Purim spiel, Megillah Madness, which will actually be a few days before Purim this year. And I'm going to be in one of the skits and part of the spiel. So you can look forward to laughing with or at me. In about 2 weeks, this sanctuary will be filled with music and songs and colors, and there will be even more glitter on the carpet. If you look, we have some stains from years past. We'll look forward to adding to those. We'll give mishloach manot, we'll give packages of food to each other, and we will also give special donations, gifts to the poor, matanot le'evyoni. And the most central mitzvah of Purim, who wants to guess? Reading the Megillah. Very good. Reading the Megillah. We will read the Megillah, we will listen and hear all the words of the Megillah chanted out loud. But the Megillah is not as lighthearted, shall we say, as the rest of the holiday. The story is quite dark and dramatic. Esther is a young Jewish woman living in ancient Persia. She's chosen to be the next queen, to marry King Ahasuerus. But no one knows yet that she's Jewish. So even starting with that part of the plot, we have some tension. We're not quite sure how much that's going to matter. We're not sure why she's hiding that she's Jewish. Her cousin Mordechai then overhears a plot, and the tension goes up, increases. This is a plot, I'm going to quote from the Megillah, a plot to destroy, kill, and annihilate all the Jews, young and old, women and children, on a single day. The villain of the story is Haman. Ooh, that was a test. That was a test. You're ready. I just wanted to make sure. Haman is the king's advisor. Very good, very good. Why are these so loud? That one isn't on, and these are very loud. You'll all have to bear with me. So Esther risks her life. So the Jews are in danger. He has this plot to destroy the Jews. Esther risks her life and reveals that she's Jewish to the king. And she begs him to save her people. And in the end, like many of our origin stories, we survive. But the majority of the story is quite painful and stressful and violent. So that was some of the what. Now moving on to the why. Why do we tell Esther's story in the context? This is a very serious, painful story. Why do we tell the story in a context of a day that is so fun and light? It's not what we'd expect. We could imagine marking this history very differently. And in fact, we have other precedent to mark important days very differently. In other stories that threaten the destruction of our people, we have much more somber observances. So think Yom HaShoah, which is the day when we remember the Holocaust. It's a memorial day. We hear from Holocaust survivors. We have serious, respectful services that mark that day. On Tisha B'Av, when we remember the destruction of our temple, we take on mourning practices. We sit on the floor. We fast. Very different feel from Purim, right? Purim is festive, and festive to the point of irony. Because the Megillah is a scary story, but we intentionally drown out the frightening parts. We yell and we make noise whenever the villain is mentioned. We enjoy calling out boo when we hear that name, which I won't mention again. We enjoy swinging the groggers and making that noise. It's not a scary and a sad moment, it's fun. So why do we have such a great time telling such a scary story? Because Purim is our holiday for therapeutic joy. Therapeutic joy. This is borrowing a term from the great Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks, who was the chief rabbi of England, and we say Zichrono Livracha, may his memory be for a blessing. Why do we need therapeutic joy on Purim? He answers, we who live after the Holocaust, who have met survivors, heard their testimony, seen the photographs and documentaries and memorials, know the answer to that question. On Purim, the final solution was averted, but it had been pronounced. Even ever afterward, Jews knew their vulnerability. The very existence of Purim in our historical memory is traumatic, and the Jewish response to trauma is counterintuitive and extraordinary, he writes. You defeat fear by joy. You conquer terror by collective celebration. You prepare a festive meal, invite guests, give gifts to friends. While the story is being told, you make a noise as if not only to blot out the memory of Amalek, but to make a joke out of the whole episode. You wear masks, you drink a little too much, you make a Purim spiel. Precisely because the threat was so serious, you refuse to be serious. And in that refusal, you are doing something very serious indeed. You are denying your enemies a victory. You are declaring that you will not be intimidated. As the date of the scheduled destruction approaches, you surround yourself with the single most effective antidote to fear: joy in the life itself. And the 3-sentence summary of Jewish history, which I'm sure you've heard, someone will remember. They tried to kill us. We survived. Let's eat. Humor is the Jewish way of defeating hate. What you can laugh at, you cannot be held captive by. While terrorists aim to terrify, to be a Jew is to refuse to be terrified. Rabbi Sacks elevates the comedy, the costumes, the groggers, the glitter on the carpet. It's all so much more than simple fun. This is our most effective response to anti-Semitism and to terror. Purim is how we learn ourselves and how we teach our children what it means to be the target of hatred and how to respond as Jews. So I'll ask again the question I started with: why do we need this therapeutic joy? Rabbi Sacks answered, and I'll add, in the months after the October terrorist attack in Israel, we also know the answer to that question in a new way. We need therapeutic joy, especially this year, because it's hard to feel joy now. It's hard to be Jewish during these times. It's hard to love Israel so deeply and to listen as the world dismisses and misunderstands. It's hard to witness the suffering, our own suffering, the suffering of our family in Israel, and the suffering of all the victims of war. On Purim, despite the threats against us, I would argue especially because of those threats against us, we take one night, we take one day to let loose and to laugh. We comfort ourselves with the victory story of Esther and Mordecai, who saved us all from Haman. Okay, good. That was also a test. At the end of the Megillah, we are finally in the good graces of the secular authorities. The record is finally clear and permanent. Our good guys finally get all the credit that they deserve. We pause in the action at the end of this story at a time in our history when we imagined there was no anti-Semitism for some time in this place. On this night, we get to rewrite our story and stay there as long as we can. We so internalize that for a time, everything is okay, that we let our guard down. We let our guard down to such a point that there's a custom to drink until we confuse Haman and Mordecai. Okay, very good. We let ourselves confuse the bad guys and the good guys. When would we let ourselves do that? We, a people who've been targeted by bad guys for our entire history, we would only do that if we're giving ourselves a moment to feel a little safer, to feel like it means a lot to be able to do that. And that's precisely the point. On this one night of silliness, we are also doing something that's quite hard and quite hopeful. We are practicing for a future time when we might be able to let our guard down for good. So bring on the glitter, the costumes, and the chaos, and that special kind of Purim joy. And in these tough days, let us allow that joy to be, if only for one night, for one day, that joy could be therapeutic. Amen. Shabbat shalom.